And we are back. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us again on this lovely edition of the Doin Alright podcast here on this Thursday. Bryan Broaddus is over there on his side of the mothership. I'm on the Iron Throne kicking it. About to break down the Cardinals defense today. Interesting bunch of characters they got over there, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
Me and you sitting up here pre-show, passing the tablets back and forth, trying to figure out some of these looks that they throwing out there. You know what I mean? They don't do a bunch of weird stuff. I guess some things that they may, switch up per opponent. You know what I mean? But for the most part, they run what they run. We're gonna talk about it. This ain't a defense like the one that you ran into last week, so we could all take a deep breath and a sigh of relief. But you never damn know with the Cardinals. That's just how they get down over there. They got a couple pass rushes over there. Pretty good corner over there. Some big boys down the middle, Brian. We got a little fight coming there. But prior to the show, and prior to us breaking this down, Brian, you came in and knocked on my door.
Mm-hmm.
We was talking about the idea that our guy on social media is there.
Yeah.
He came out, the Ricky Bull.
Yeah. He
came out on social media and said, "Hey man,
Ricky Scoops."
At first, I was a little apprehensive about
sure.
about old character Ricky, man.
Yeah,
he ain't missed yet, Brian.
Oh, he's one of them characters. Been pretty good. Yeah,
pretty good. He's Adam Schefter for real, but he just changed his profile. Yeah. He's somebody. He says the Cowboys, more than likely the Cowboys and the San Francisco, we're kind of going back and forth with it, trying to get some D lineman help.
Right.
D lineman help. This is what I want to ask you, Brian. Voch says this. Did you think that D-line was going to be the biggest question mark, that was going to be the imperative here, Bryan Broaddus? I know that there's a lot of us that can argue that linebacker should probably be first there. There's even some people in Cowboy Nation with the Diggs nonsense going on, and some of the other guys, they knees hurting a little bit. Some people would assume that corner would be a direction that you go.
Yeah.
You more hurt at safety than anywhere.
Safety, yeah.
And we would imagine that we're giving up big plays, that maybe a safety would be somewhere that you go first. But the Cowboys are choosing to go D-line. Now, D-line is interesting. That could be tackle, that could be edge. I feel like the 3-tech and the 1-tech position, you got guys there.
Right.
More in the way that your edge rushers aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, your best edge rushers are Clowney, James Houston, and Donovan Ezaraku.
Right.
Sam and Dante Fowler haven't given you anything, Brian.
Right.
You think this D lineman, because it says D lineman, you think this is going to be an interior guy or an edge guy, Brian? And if you were making this trade, you was calling other teams, would you even go for a D lineman first?
I think Ricky brings up an interesting group.
Yeah.
But I think the way you walked me through this, man, okay, they're probably looking at corner help right now as guys within their own building.
Sure.
That's what they're probably looking.
Josh Butler, Revel, Kevin Carson. Man.
Yeah, they're looking probably within their own group that way to maybe take care of that. Okay, the linebacker help. Voch, where do you think they're looking at the linebacker help? Could this be guys returning again? Is this Sanborn coming back after the concussion? Is this Overshown coming back here soon? That might be something that they're thinking like, okay, we're going to be better. Not great, but we'll be better until you kind of figure out the thing with Overshown. Defensive line, I think that you bring up something very, very interesting is because of they probably feel good about having Kenny Clark, even though Kenny Clark the last several weeks has had a couple of poor games, a good game, and then another poor game. You wonder about Kenny Clark, but to them, they're probably okay with that, and we'll see what happens, at that spot. They've got some guys that they feel like we've talked about the Mozzie Smiths and Jay Toya and those guys, and really how that group hasn't been overly productive. We've had some problems. I think there's some people out there that would say, listen, and I know I'm one of these guys, Solomon Thomas to me looks like he needs to play more 3-technique reps, over Osa Odighizuwa. I mean, okay, try and find the balance there and get them both going. Osa's had his moments where he struggled with the double teams and things like that, but that's going to happen at your 3-technique spot. The edge, this is Donovan Ezaraku seems to be the one. Houston seems to be the one. I'm not going to sit there and say Clowney has got my oh wow, he's really turned the corner. I know I asked you this question the other day. Is this now we're going to start to see Clowney? I kind of feel like they're still probably hunting that edge, and I would not be surprised if that's the way they go. Now, talking to some of my gang of 7 guys, this is the guys and gals around the league that back to the phone again, huh?
Say?
Yeah, back the thing that my gang of 7 folks have been saying to me has been that's something I said, well, okay, we talking about what type of defensive lineman? What type? And a couple of different teams think that Dallas is looking for, just like it's been described by Ricky Scoops, defensive linemen. It is the tackles. It is the edges. So that's where I feel like that if the NFL people, they're the ones getting calls from these teams. Now, I had a couple of teams tell me that Dallas, in fact, had not called them for anything. So this is just them kind of going through and looking at your team and saying, this is the direction I would go if I were them. So I think that defensive line is in play, because I feel like, looking at the linebackers, they probably feel like they got a couple of guys there. Looking at the corners, they probably feel like they got a couple of guys there. And we'll see about the safety spot. But, boy, that has been a problem for your team right now.
Bryan, if you had to guess, would you assume, would you think that this D lineman is like a big fish, or just better than what you have? You ain't wrong about Clowney. Clowney hasn't inspired a whole bunch of smiles on our faces, but he's much better than what you got with Fowler and Sam Williams.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sam get cut or something. I don't know.
Sure. And they're going to have to make some roster moves.
They got to make some decisions.
But yeah.
Also, too, Bryan, I saw on the news yesterday, whenever it was, that they're opening Perion Winfrey's practice window.
There you go.
So that's another thing too,
right?
That we can kind of add to this conversation. I'll just run it back to you again. Do you think that this is a big fish or a smaller fish that's just better than what we have?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, though, to me, I do believe Dallas wants to go big fishing. I don't know. And I had to clear this up yesterday when you and I were on the break, because I said, the league will not allow them to make this move. And everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now the league, that was like the commissioner stepping in. No, what I meant clearly was, I thought it was clear that the league, that maybe some of these teams will not trade big fish players. Mm-hmm. That they're to the point now where they don't want to give up their star players. They want to just go ahead and let's hang on to them. Let's draft. We've got them under contract. I do. I really do believe Dallas wants to make a move, and I think they want to make a big move. I just have my doubts. I have my doubts that the other NFL teams will allow them to make that move.
Why do you think Why do you think Perion Winfrey's window is activated now? You think? Because it's not like you need defensive tackle help in an emergency way the same way that you need, like when they like if they bring up Zion Childress or something,
right?
That's like, all right, dog, we hurting here,
right? We
need him there,
right?
They're bringing up Perion Winfrey. Nobody in your defensive tackle room is injured, and there's already this rotation of Mazi and Toia. I ain't saying that they're gonna move either one of these guys, bro.
Oh, they could though. They could. Absolutely. I mean,
they could. But I just wonder the timing of it.
Right.
He's on IR. You ain't in a rush to bring him back.
Right.
But why now are they activating Perion Winfrey? Do you think that they need help there, or they're trying to move somebody around elsewhere?
Yeah. I mean, to me, I kind of look at this as this. And listen, we were at training camp. We watched a lot of practices. Perion Winfrey was making plays and making plays against guys that are starters for your offense right now. Making plays against Booker, making plays against Tyler Smith, making plays against BB. It surprised me, when talking to people in the organization, it's like, well, we're kind of happy with the defensive tackles. Guys, let's be honest. These defensive tackles, especially at the one technique, have not played well at all. And they played poorly. And
Clark also.
And to me, this is where I'm kind of like, what are you watching? What are you? Well, this it's kind of the old what we've talked about the last couple of weeks. In case of emergency, break glass and get the player.
Yeah.
Butler's been a guy. Well, I mean, you haven't watched the corner play to determine that probably having Butler out there would be better than having somebody else. Like, how many games or how many situations do you have to go through before you start to say, wow, well, maybe this guy against the run might give us something. Maybe a guy that is a penetrator, a guy that gets upfield, a guy that has some power, a guy that gets off some blocks. We saw this with our own eyes. I don't know how they could sit there in the same situation and say, oh, no, we're cool. We're cool at defensive tackle. Really? Really, you're cool at defensive tackle? Okay. It hasn't been. Why am I sitting there talking about Solomon Thomas? And when he plays, you do get the penetrator. You do get the upfield player. You do get a disruptive guy. Everybody else has kind of been struggling right now in that position. But Winfrey, like we saw him at training camp, like you didn't see the same thing. I think there's several positions, Voch, that they went in thinking that they would be okay. And they're really not okay, and they're really reluctant. And I have no clue why they're reluctant to try something different, unless it's just a coach situation where we feel good about our guys. This guy doesn't make mistakes. Just look at the guys who are on and off the field when teams are running the ball on you. Sure. And you want to tell me you feel good about those guys? This is. There's an old song, Bob Seger, from my era. It's
Turn the page.
No, that's a good Bob Seger song. But one of the lines is "working on mysteries without any clues."
Yeah.
You've got plenty of clues what your problems are. The reaction to them have not been good enough. And now you're to the point where you're halfway through the season and your record is what it is, and you've got these guys that have yet to play, and maybe that's the reason. Maybe they don't want to play Butler because they haven't seen him play all year. Maybe they don't want to play Carson because they haven't seen him play all year. But I'll tell you one thing. To me, if I'm getting my ass kicked with players on the field that probably shouldn't be out there, I'm sure taking a look at these other guys. Yeah. I'm taking a look at these other guys.
Shotty alluded to the idea that there's going to be changes at green dot guy. What do you think that means?
Well, that means that they probably are going to get Sanborn back.
Yeah.
That means.
So we're going to see, as it was Murray and rotating guys.
Right.
It'll look more like Sanborn.
I think Sanborn, And listen, we've all kicked Sanborn in the junk a bunch. Better
than what you got now.
Yeah, but I'm saying just metrics, eye test, whatever will tell you, yes, he cannot play coverage. That is a liability in coverage. But when you're playing run defense, this guy does go make plays. When teams are running the ball, he finds a way to get over and make a tackle there. There'll be times when the ball goes way to the outside, though, it might be a little slow, might get blocked. But if you look at the number of run snaps he played, and it's not a small sample size, it's a legitimate number of run snaps you've had. So to me, I can't look at this defense with players that are potentially available and think like, okay, what's keeping me from at least looking at these guys? I don't have that. I don't have that understanding right now, Voch.
We sure better come up with some answers quick because we got the Arizona Cardinals coming.
Yeah.
Today we talking about Cardinals defense, so everything that we talked about today don't really apply, but we're going to break them down anyway, Bryan Broaddus.
Sure.
Hey, man, these cats kind of interesting, aren't they?
They are, very.
Some I think Shotty could do to help this Cowboys defense. I'm just talking. I think something Shotty could do to help this defense is to cut down on some of the rotation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like leave the better dudes out there longer. Did you get a feeling that when you was watching Arizona, every 3 plays it was a different set of linemen out there?
Oh yeah.
They rotate the piss out them cats.
Yeah, they do.
Not just the linemen, but the outside linebackers. They
everybody.
Really.
Everybody, yeah.
They treat those dudes like D linemen. Like they rotate them out. For the most part, their linebacker Mac Wilson kind of hangs around. Davis Gaither, if he's out there, he hangs around a little bit.
Right.
But everybody else, from the zeros to the threes when they play them because they don't always play threes, Brian.
Right.
The ones, the fives, and the outside rush guys.
Yeah.
Brian, they mix them all up.
Right.
They don't have not just one person that's devastating in that way. I would say I'm just comparing last week to this week, right? Last week you had 3 ridiculous characters in this odd front that was hard to move.
Right.
You got 2 outside rushers that'll just beat the hell out you if you don't come ready to pass set against them. And they got smart linebackers up there in Denver.
Right.
I do think you're going to get a similar configuration in terms of how the Cardinals cornerbacks operate.
Right.
You got a real good dude on one side, some safeties that's going to help everybody, and a dude on the other side that's solid, but we should probably go find him for the most part. But the front 7 is fascinating with how they line up, how often they rotate. Sometimes they're in a true odd front 3-4.
Right.
Brian, sometimes they'll be, as a center, you would identify it as an even front, where it's 2 interior guys.
Right.
But their linebackers are like their edge guys.
They're playing hand down, yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll just have like a linebacker in the middle, which is a 3-3 stack kind of.
Sure.
Really? But it's offset, and they'll kind of mess with the looks a little bit. So I think one of the bigger pieces in this game is, it'd be nice to have BB back, is to have your center and your offensive line all be on the same page about who we blocking.
Right.
Because it's not going to be just one look the whole game. Denver does it different, where they'll line up in that one look and they'll whoop you with it all day.
Right.
I wish I could just show y'all this look. I'm just looking at it right here. It's just some cat. I'll show Brian. It's just some cats just standing up, Brian.
Yeah. No.
Just ain't nothing going on.
Yeah.
Brian, I think the Cowboys are going to have to get to the line of scrimmage. And this helps that you're in a home game because we can hear each other talk.
Right.
Identify what's going on with the front, and everybody be on the same page about who we dealing with and the running back as well, Brian. What you think about this Cardinals defense so far?
I in watching them though, I was very, very impressed. And you mentioned the rotation, and they've got a couple of guys that are first round defensive players that are actually playing backup. And I think that's where, when you look at Darius Robinson and then you look at Xavier Collins, I think, all of a sudden it's one of those things like, wow, we picked these guys in the first round. Let's find a way to get them on the field, kind of a feel that they're not starting, but it's like, oh, wow, there's some guys that we like a little bit better that are playing. I do. The thing that I was really impressed with, though, with Josh Sweat, I think we all understand who Josh Sweat is. I think we've all understood him from the Philadelphia Eagles and where he played. I really do like with this, with this Baron Browning, who they got this number 5, who they traded from with the Denver Broncos. I think they've got some really, really good edge players, and I think they've got some strength inside with Calais Campbell and then also with Dalvin Tomlinson. We've seen Dalvin Tomlinson play with the Giants, so we understand how he tends to operate. Dante Stills is a guy. They've got big guys inside, and you watch teams try and run the ball on them. It's not one of these things like, oh wow, they have outside success. They have big guys outside success. It's if you look at teams that have limited big running plays, especially on the outside, the Denver Broncos are number 1 in the league, who you played last week. When I'm talking about 10+ yard runs, those big explosive run plays, Denver's number 1 with 8. They've only allowed 8 outside runs of 10 yards or more. Arizona's at 15. So they're not going to give you a lot on the outside. They're going to play very, very physical on the edge. They're going to fill on the outside. Their safeties do a great job, the Buda Bakers and those guys coming down, and their corners get involved with the running game. So you're going to be in a situation where if you want to run the football, it is going to have to be, it's probably going to be a little bit of a slugfest. It is going to be, you're going to have to get some guys on these Arizona Cardinal defenders, try and get some moves. I was watching the team that I like to watch run the football on people, if you can get them, is the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah. Colts have got, and here's another one. Remember, we saw the Colts play against the Broncos last week, and when we were doing the Denver Bronco film, we were watching the Colts play, and you got an idea of how to, with a physical running style with Taylor, that offensive line. I mean, they're one of the best in the league when it comes to that. And Dallas is right up there, too, when it comes to running the football. So Arizona played the Colts, a couple of weeks ago, and were able to have a little success running the football. But again, it was about doubling guys. It was about getting the linebacker. It was about securing down linemen with their tight ends, the combination blocks, second level blocks, and all that. I mean, I don't think you're going to fool this team a bunch. I think it's going to be more about having to get after them. It's going to be, hey, are you able to get hat on hat and then try and just push like heck and stay on these blocks? Because these guys are, when you talk about around the league, they don't miss a lot of tackles defensively. They don't. They got a really a good tackling team, and like I say, success rate only about of allowing only 4.2 yards a carry. That's pretty salty when everybody's averaging 4, 8, and 5s and stuff like that. This team will shut you down that way. And when it comes to the pass rush stuff, I think it's going to be about, you're going to see these guys, you're going to see, as Voch was just talking about a minute ago, guys standing around. I think they're trying to confuse blocking schemes. I think they're going to bring the twist stunts. I mean, they're really big on the linebackers attacking a down lineman and then all of a sudden working. It's not even like they're trying to get to the quarterback. They're just going down to run the post and then get the pull around or get the guy coming around. So that's how you're going to get some of this pressure. So Dallas has got to be ready of, if it's passing stunts and all that, be aware of these guys coming down on you and then the twist stunts as well.
Brian, if this day ends up being a weird one for Terence Steele, where do we go from there? Josh Sweat kind of got history of whooping Terence.
Yeah.
We can cross that bridge when we get there. Rookie Jordan Birch, more of a power rusher.
Right.
He'll rotate in there sometimes.
Right.
But he got some good wiggle too for his size.
Right.
I'm just talking about guys that Terence could possibly run into. Baron Browning, he's fine. He'll move around a little bit. But they also blitz around the middle, Brian.
They do.
Mac Wilson got like seven pressures from being blitz guy.
Right.
So all these guys can kind of get down.
Yeah.
But I think teams are looking for Terence these days. That seems to be something that we noticed on film, Brian. Do you think if he has a bad day, where do we go from there?
Yeah, I mean, I know for a while we've talked about could we see more Nate Thomas in these games, and whether I know the various platforms that Voch and I are on, the questions get asked like if you could make a change, and I know Voch always talks about the offensive line play, that maybe, hey, this would be a change that I would make. This would be more Nate Thomas in these games and stuff. And I just feel like with Terence Steele that you just give up so much in the power part of things. Now, the run blocking stuff has been fine, but just as a pass protector, that edge, it just is, this could be one of those days where, because they will bring pressure off the edge. Now, it won't be the pressure that we saw last week, I don't believe, with the Denver Broncos, but it's very, very, it's got some elements of it when you've got these tall, and I mean tall when you're talking about Sweat. He's a guy that's got that explosive first step. He can get on you, can get around you. There were some games where he was able to win just right off the snap because of the ability to get so much ground with that first step and then get around the corner, and then the tackles have trouble reacting to him. And fortunately for Terence, they are home. It shouldn't be a problem with the crowd noise, but he is going to have his hands full, whether it's Sweat or Barron or one of those guys rushing, and maybe even having to sort out some stuff too with some of the blitzes that they're going to see. This team likes to rush 4. Mm-hmm. They like to rush 4, but that's not to say when they do blitz. And by the way, Voch, when they blitz, it's generally on first down. Sure. They feel like that, like if they could somehow get you into a negative situation, so you'll see a blitz and all of a sudden it'll maybe be a run stop. So you got to be very mindful of that. But you're likely going to see more first down blitzes than any other team that you've played this year.
Brian, Calais Campbell still kind of get a little.
He can get it. Yep, he can still get it.
Still kind of get a little busy over there. What I love about our film platform there is we can just go and type in run stuffs.
Right.
Dalvin Tomlinson got a good bit of them.
Sure.
I don't think that's going to stop you from running right at him, though.
No.
I think if we just talking about being fast, gap exchange, and pass setting, that's where you kind of run into a little bit of trouble. But in a physical on physical type matchup, Brian, I feel good about our guys going up against Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson. And if Cooper Beebe come back this week, I think that's even more of a reason. I think the Cowboys should have kept running the ball against the Broncos. They just couldn't.
They couldn't.
They just couldn't. I think the Cowboys were finding a groove, like moving those guys around. Like it wasn't great early, but I could just see this world where the Cowboys could wear them down if they had an opportunity to do it. I see the same thing here. They got a bunch of rushers, but I think they're guys that could be moved. And
yeah, I like what you're saying there. To me, I think Dallas. There's been a couple of times this year where we've seen Dallas get knocked out of a game when they were able to run the football. And one of the example last week was Denver. Chicago was another one that you saw some ability to run the football, and unfortunately for the Cowboys, they had to come back. Their defense was just allowing so many big plays and points and stuff like that, and it took Dallas out of that mode of wanting to run the football. I think that you could stay. If you play well defensively, if you play well, and that's a big if right now. I mean, we have a feeling what might happen. You just don't know what Kyler Murray is going to show up, and you don't know about with Marvin Harrison and stuff and like that, and McBride the tight end. Boy, that could be a big problem. But man, if you could find a way to stay after this Arizona Cardinal defense. There could be some plays to be had there, but it's really going to be about Dallas's defense and can they do things to keep the Arizona Cardinals from being that type of team and getting points like some of the teams in the past have.
Brian, they don't give up a whole bunch of big plays, though.
They don't. They sure don't.
A little shocked by that one, Brian.
Yeah.
A bunch of big plays. They'll give up all the underneath stuff, but they don't give up, they run cover 4.
Cover 4. There you go.
Brian, man, pre-show I was looking at them.
It looks weird, doesn't it?
Little goofy stuff. It looks like some cover 2 sometimes, some cover 4. It's the same thing. Cover 6 looks, half of the cover 6 look like cover 2. They try to do some interesting things,
right?
But for the most part, that's the basis of cover 4. 4 deep guys, and they don't give away big plays or whatever. Brian, when they do, on our sheet here, they got Jalen Thompson listed as a nickelback.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen the film of him playing free safety.
Sure.
If they do give up a big play, it's in one of 3 places. It'll be Jalen Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Max Melton give up some big plays.
Right.
And also, Brian, when Max Wilson ends up in coverage because he's not blitzing, I've seen him kind of throw some big plays in his direction too, Brian. How do you think the Cowboys gonna deal with this cover 4 looking stuff?
Yeah, and just Voch was talking about it. The cover 4 really is designed to kind of keep things in front. Don't give up the big plays on the back end, and so what cover 4 basically is everybody is responsible for a quarter of the field. So you just get the idea. Cover 4, 4 deep, 4 cross, and it allows you to keep it. So it's just. Everybody takes a quarter of the field, the 2 safeties, and then the 2 corners take that. So you kind of have an idea how that plays. Where cover 4 can be beat is sometimes because you've got this, depending on how the depth, and sometimes, like I say, you get to the point where it's run like it's, say, 16 yards, and you get that there's spaces in between underneath. It's not one of the best because you get linebackers that are now covering flats. Mm-hmm. So now you have a middle linebacker that kind of takes the middle, and then you've got the other linebackers that are supposed to take the flats and stuff. So what happens is there are little pockets that you can attack this defense underneath, and especially if you can't. Now, I'll say this, though. I was surprised. I was looking at, you mentioned Mack Wilson, who plays. Mack Wilson has 5 passes defensed this year. So when people have got him in coverage, he's shown his ability to be able to make some plays. So where Dak can attack. Now, this is another thing that happens to cover 4, double moves. Mm-hmm. So you get in a situation where, okay, we find gaps underneath in those little pockets, but then you also throw in double moves. Double moves give cover 4 some problems, especially if you got guys that will gamble on it, because all of a sudden you got a corner that's it bites, and now it's up the side, and now you've got an opportunity to make some plays. So I kind of feel like that Dallas might try some of that this week with it. I'm going to see if in fact, with Will Johnson, I think he's playing really well for them. I was very critical. I wasn't sure what Will Johnson coming out of Michigan, what he could really run. I mean, and he never did. He never ran for anybody. It would be very difficult for me to take a first-round corner and have him and not have a time on him, to have an understanding, is he a 4.6 player, is he a 4.4 player? But he's playing well for these guys. So there could be some opportunities with Pickens and then also with Lamb. Watch this. We've seen some double move stuff from Pickens that I think that the outs, the ups, and things like that could maybe make some big plays on these guys.
I think the Cowboys got more than enough talent to deal with these guys, Bryan Broaddus. I ain't too much worried about it. The Cowboys at home, good luck dealing with that.
Yeah.
It's just always the other side versus Cowboys defense that get us going. But solid unit. This isn't a unit that you're going to go out there and just run all over. You're going to have to fight for your life. But I think we got enough pieces to deal with that. We appreciate y'all for tapping in with us, man. We love y'all to pieces. Thanks so much. I'll be gathering questions, so look out for me so we can do our Question Fridays. Bryan, we work Monday?
We'll talk about it.
All right, cool. So we don't work Monday because the game on, and Bryan got to do radio all day, then do a post-game show.
Yeah, we're probably not working Monday.
Your ass ain't trying to work 24 hours.
Nah, we're probably not working Monday.
I know how to talk to you. Hey, everybody, listen, this is what we do. This is what I need y'all to do. Voch says this. CrownGlobalMedia.com. That's where everything is. Okay. You're looking for social media links. If you're looking for the audio, if you're a trucker and you like to just listen to the audio, if you're looking for the merch, the link is in the description for the merch, but it's all on the website. So if you're looking for anything, it's CrownGlobalMedia.com. I appreciate y'all. We got some film coming a little bit later, so don't forget to tap in with that. Also, we're going to break down these little Cardinals here and see if we can find an advantage over there. All right. That's Bryan Broaddus. I'm VOCHLONBARDI. We'll catch y'all next time. Crown.